Welcome to the final round of the GTE 24-Hour Masters Championship. So the final round is at the Nurburgring Nordschleife. We have had some adjustments to the track, so we're now doing Nurburgring combined, as there is no pit lane set on the Nordschleife. So drivers have been practicing with the Nordschleife, so now they've got the GP circuit mixed into it as well, so we're going to be seeing a bit longer of a lap for the drivers. So we are experiencing some technical difficulties with the stream, so will be some brief periods where you won't hear me. Well, I've got to jump back and forth to fix a few things. But previous results, well, we had the endurance race at Bathurst Mount Panorama, so Angry Old Fella took the win for that race, followed by Tenchi in second and Matteo Tommaso in third. So currently the leader of the championship is Tenchi 202, and he hasn't joined. Oh no, he's just joined the session now. He was offline, so he's there to defend the title because he's very closely followed by Angry Old Fella in second. So Tenchi's leading with 184 points, Angry Old Fella at 170, and Aussie Chopper not too far behind with 146 points. So the final round is worth double of the normal race points from the other rounds. So big points up for grab. Lots of turns. So there's now 87 turns to the track. So a long way to make it back to the pit. So any accidents of any of the top drivers could definitely see them scoring some quite low points. So drivers do have the opportunity to do score some points with the practices. In the qualifying as well. So there's no clear winner yet on this series, so will Tenchi be able to hold off Angry Old Fella and keep that title and bring home the GT 24-Hour Masters Championship for himself? So we will be briefly heading off into the practice session. So drivers tonight have got a little bit extra time. So normally the session is 10-minute practice. So they get an extra 5 minutes for the practice session to compensate for having the additional combined track into the Nurburgring. So weather for that session is light cloud. Then they've got 20 minutes of qualifying, which is weather of a medium cloud. And then for the 90-minute endurance race, set over 24 hours simulated, weather is medium cloud clear to light cloud. So we'll be heading off into the pits in just a moment for the practice session, and then we'll be able to commence off with the rest of tonight's session. So I'll be heading off and loading all that up so that you can start watching the guys out on the track. So I'm back with you now. I do have to run from the other end of the house to actually change screens at the moment, as my remote for controlling the broadcast has actually decided not to work. So, two drivers out on track. Look, we just saw Psycho and his Corvette spun out already. The game session time's 9 o'clock, so it is quite cool, but weather conditions are nice, so with the light medium cloud, the temperatures will warm up quite quickly. The Psycho having a few issues there at the moment, so he's doing quite well in the championship at the moment. He's currently running 5th with 98 points. I just can't change drivers at the moment. All the drivers are messaging in the group, exchanging setups at the moment. So a lot of friendly assists going on between them to try and help each other out with the track. So drivers have been practicing all week with doing the full ring, so the current corners that they're seeing at the moment they're not used to. We have done this track in previous series with most of these drivers, so we did this track in the GT3 World Tour, sorry. It is actually a favourite track of mine, the Nurburgring GP. A small field at the moment, we're expecting a few more, so Psycho is still pulled off the side there as Curver 974 passes him there in his Ford. Tenchi hasn't hit the track yet, so race just heading out. So both drivers nearly running wide, they're not sure where to go. I was going to allow the drivers to have driving line set as a game option for this, since there is so many corners for them to try and memorise, but they wanted the chaos of the Nürburgring to be true, so they opted to not have the driving line set for them, so which will definitely be putting them off at the moment as they go through the GP section of the track. So Psycho is back on the tracks, is starting to see some familiar ground there of the ring, so making their way out onto the track they're familiar with. So we'll bring up track map. It's not the best one to be looking at on the current screen. So you can see in the bottom left of the map there, that's the GP circuit, which is added in. So Project Cars 2 didn't decide to include any pit lanes into the actual full Nordschleife ring. So we could have still done the standard track, but it's going to be very difficult when they're supposed to be covering a 24-hour simulated session. They're definitely going to be needing to make a pit. Psycho doing quite well for an opening lap there, so 15 minutes they get for practice sessions, so they're probably going to get a couple, maybe squeeze 3 laps in. If they get out on the track quite quickly, so no room for mistakes, especially once they're into the qualifying sessions. So if they do make contact with a wall halfway through the lap, ooh, Psycho making contact with the wall there. And the option just to return the car to the pit, and oh, off he goes, airborne into the corner there. He'll be really, yes, returning that car back to the pits. So doing that in the qualifying session could see drivers not actually getting out there and setting a time. So they possibly don't want to be pushing their cars too much during the qualifying session, just so they can actually get the car around the track, set a time, and actually at least qualify for a fairly strong position in the qualifying so they can get some points. Skitty 14 in his Corvette. The last race in round 3 at Bathurst, Skitty finished in 5th place. He's currently sitting 9th in the championship, so was a later entry into the series. Oh, we've seen some good driving by Skitty so far. It'll be interesting to see how he goes tonight. Angry Old Fella currently coming 2nd in the championship. So he was our race winner for Bathurst last fortnight. Oh, making not too bad a contact there, so hitting that curb and getting a bit of bounce. So in the game lobby just before heading in, drivers were talking about setups in quite detail, about slow bumps and rebounds. So drivers definitely finding the curbs of the Nurburgring quite brutal. It's already a fairly bumpy track, a lot of crests. It's not the greatest quality of road either, so it's very hard to try and get a nice setup when you have so many corners in a track. So over to Mersey Blue, also in the Corvette. The Corvette's been the weapon of choice for the series so far, and they have been performing quite well. Mersey in the championships currently sitting in 11th. So he finished in 6th place in Bathurst, so he did really well at Bathurst. And this race really can be anyone's race, as any of the drivers, particularly probably more so some of the more stronger, confident drivers, push the car to limit, hitting the wall on this track with such a long way back to the pits. Definitely could see, an end to them having a chance at actually claiming the win on the track. So some of the more cautious drivers could possibly see themselves taking position on the podium tonight. Yeah, sliding out there, so you can see in the GTE, as soon as they cut down on that corner there, they actually bottom that car out. The rain trap there is very steep, and then some of those corners on the track for the Nurburgring are actually all corrugated non-slip style. Ooh, going off on the corner, so sliding the inside of that car across the curb. So it's going to be very hard for them to try and keep the car getting a nice, clean, tidy lap while trying to get as close to that apex as possible. Matteo in his Porsche. So I think it's the only Porsche running tonight. Mateo's done very well with the Porsche throughout the series. So currently he's sitting 4th in the championship, so 106 points at the moment. So when there is a lot of points up for grab here, it can definitely seem is a possibility of taking a win in the championship, just depending on all circumstances, but definitely climbing up to the top 3 for sure. So Matteo came 3rd in last fortnight's race at Bathurst. He's very consistent driving throughout the race, and the car was almost immaculate bringing it in at the end of the 90-minute session. The drivers having 4 minutes remaining. I'll have a look. So just finishing their first laps. Yes, so they're only going to be getting 2 laps in. So yellow flag at the moment for the car, and they've returned to the pit. I think that may have been Aussie Chopper. So it's Ford GTE. So there was in-depth discussions about setups just prior, so he's probably trying to get that right fit for the car to his style. So he's currently coming third in the championship. So very great driving in this series by Aussie. So some of the other series he's had some very unfortunate incidents. Happened to be involved in a couple of crashes and a lot of pit errors and game errors that have cost him getting a strong position in the race. So it's really great to see him have a really great run through this series. So it'll be great to see him finish strongly for this race. So now just 2 minutes remaining. A Corvette nearby. The drivers will also need to be very cautious of what damage they take around the track, as once they start getting to the night stint on this track, conditions are very, very difficult to see the corners. There's a lot of high-speed crests that sweep down into a lot of blind corners, and it can be quite chaotic to try and find your line, and just to remember whereabouts you are on the track when the surroundings just all look so similar. And if you're joining us for the stream, be sure to say hello. We have controls down below so you can put audio over the stream, cheer for your favourite drivers, any of your mates, family that's racing tonight. And I can see you on the chat as well, so... Oh, Aussie nearly making contact with that wall. And making with there, so put him offline for that following corner. We've seen a couple go off here so far. Oh, Aussie almost doing it. Almost bottoming that Ford GT out on that curb. Bit of slide there under braking. Head over to Tenchi 202, our current series champion leader. A much lower pitch to engine noise to the vet. The Ford GT can be quite drony at the higher RPM and top speeds of the car, so it's a lot of drivers tend to say it puts them to sleep. The time is up, so they have 600 seconds to complete a lap. But no one yet completing a full lap on the data. So definitely will be a struggle for the drivers to try and set a time for qualifying. They'll just have to take it cautiously and try and get in one clean lap. tidy driving there by Tenchi at the moment. If you are joining us for the stream, be sure to hit that follow button as well. The end of this series is making contact there by Tenchi. No significant performance impacting damage there by the looks of things. Other drivers opting to head into the pit. Hopefully they have some better luck with the qualifying session. So for our stream, we also upload all previous broadcasts to our YouTube channel, so you can find us at Apex eSports League on YouTube. If you head to our Facebook page, it's got all links to that as well, and that's just as the same as well, Apex eSports League. So next on the racing schedule is Thursday, so we have the V8 Supercar Championship, and the drivers are at Long Beach Street Circuit. We've had a full grid for that last race, so it's going to be a very exciting race to watch. So half field on the grid tonight, so most likely see drivers start to separate fairly early on. I have said that before, but they have battled consistently throughout, so we could be up for quite a good race still. Can't put it that they'll be spreading out just too soon yet. I'll head over to some others on the track. Curve up, about halfway through. Not getting any timings yet. Not sure if that's an error. Sometimes the race feed doesn't always update. So 360 seconds remaining. Curve using every bit of the track around that corner there, right up on that curb. Curve wasn't able to make it to the last round at Bathurst, so we didn't get any points on that one, but he is currently sitting 8th in the championship. And it's very close points down from 5th to 12th position, sorry, 11th position, which is only 98 down to 37, so big points up for grabs here. So you can see the car's struggling on the bend there. He needs to get right in on that cement part of the track. They don't want to get too low on that corner or too high, otherwise they do just bottom out that car. Nice use of the lip there. Only 2 cars remaining out on the track at the moment, so Matteo Tommaso being the first to set an actual lap time, so 9 minutes 15. Not bad for an opening lap, so we'll probably get to see 10 laps or so on the track for the race, so that's over 24 hours, so we'll be seeing seeing a fair bit of time change in the simulated session over the course of a lap. Very nice crackles on the downshifts there as he backs off in the Ford GT. He's doing some very nice driving at the moment. For the drivers not to have the driving line assist, they've done quite well. Curve the only one out there at the moment. Everyone's heading to the pits. He's got 200 seconds to complete his lap unless he decides to head into the pit. Making a nice line through the corner there. See what speed he's getting on the straight. No, that's great. We can't actually see. Oh, I can on the broadcast. 275. 280. Nicely done there for backing off under some braking. Completing his lap. So practice session over. Two drivers setting times, so Kerr doing quite well there, 8 minutes 44. Very nice opening lap there. Mateo only also getting in a clean lap there. So the rest of the field looks like majority is the Corvettes. And then only one Porsche, and then the rest for the Ford GTs. So we'll see how the drivers go going into the qualifying session. So drivers will want to get out on that track as soon as they can. Tenchi 202 making quick, smart getting out onto the track. Cheer of the crowd as he makes his way out of pits. Running off there. What's he deciding to do? Did he matching there? He returned as well. Barco making his way out. So the track looking very ad hoc where it does join up from the Nordschleife to the GP circuit. Ooh, running off into the kitty litter there. He's deciding to bring that car back in here. He needs to do it quite quickly. All drivers experiencing something going on here at the moment. It's a very confusing section there. Drivers may be having some setup issues potentially. Angry taking it easy at the moment. Aussie chopper now heading out. Yeah, so entering that section of the track, drivers are immediately wanting to turn right there and follow the red and white ripple strip around the edge there, because that's where it appears that the track is actually going. And then only to come around to a runoff area, which they're immediately met by a tyre wall, which looks like they've made a wrong turn, but it is actually part of the track, and then they have to go across and remake their way back onto the GP circuit. Matteo at the moment with Mersey Blue creeping up behind him. So someone is putting a bit of pressure on them and looking at possibly making a move. There's not many great opportunities to pass if they're similarly paced. So to try and avoid any incidents and potentially ridding them of any chance of setting a time for qualifying, they probably want to let the other driver actually go past. So 16 minutes remaining for qualifying. Close to a third of the way through a lap at the moment. Matteo cutting that corner just a little bit. Porsche will do very well with some of the corners here as long as he gets a nice line, but he's going to be lacking a lot of the top end speed for some of those bigger bends. And with the car being so light, and he does want to slide out the rear a fair bit in the Porsche, he'll have to be very cautious of some of those very high speed corners. Nosy Blue enjoying a bit of a draft, tucking in behind Matteo. Jump on board with Mersey Blue as he tucks in behind Matteo here. On board the Ford GTE. It sounds like a Corvette. So you can see much better now as you're actually in the car just how angled the ripple strip is on the track at the Nurburgring. And most of the drivers are all reasonably spaced out here, so it's just Mersey Blue and Matteo tailing at the moment. We should be coming up to some of the hairpin turns very shortly. There's some blind corners that are actually some quite fast corners still. So depending on how much practice they have to memorise it, so that corner comes up quite quickly. It's doing 180 up over the crest just to see that suddenly there's a corner. So you can see just how much that ripple strip would actually just shoot the car to the opposite side of the track. And here's it, so you can see it's actually a curb there, so his tyre squeal there as he does make curb contact there, puts him right off the driving line. So Matteo getting away on him now. Over to Aussie Chopper, who looks like he's either got Skitty or Tenchi sitting behind him. Let's see if it is Tenchi or Skitty. No, it's definitely Skitty sitting behind. And closing in on Aussie Chopper. Skitty in number 39 Corvette. We'll see what Tenchi's running. It's a big dip there. Also running number 39, so they're running a duplicate car there. Some drivers yet to approach the end of their first lap. Tenchi leading the pack at the moment, so he'll be first across, so hopefully it has a nice clean lap. And then the worst possible thing that they could do is also exceed track limits, as they don't get a slowdown. It's just a lap invalidated. So if they get this far along in a lap, they've just spent 9 minutes of the qualifying session to then be given an invalidated lap. Would be very frustrating. Flashing the lights there by Tenchi. Bit of boredom, or do you know that we're watching him? The Corvette sounding like it's topping out 260 to 270 along there, so the Ford GT we saw get 280, so definite speed advantage along the straight there for the Ford GT. So also confusing section there. They've got to remember it is just a straight, so out lap for Tenchi, so tyres definitely hot. Now he's just got to set this nice clean lap. So as you can see there, that's the confusing section of the track. Nicely manoeuvred there by Tenchi. So good luck to him on his hot lap now. We'll see how Psychogens is going at the moment. Nice line through the bends there. Bit of lock up, but that was a very nice corner there. That sounded like a bit of hesitation on the throttle there. Possibly not sure what was going on with the track there, so becoming unfamiliar. Oh, locking up, it does not want to exceed track limits. This is his hot lap. He wants to get that car turned around, not hit anyone. Definitely didn't want to send that back to the pits, so Psycho will be missing out on getting a lap time set now. Unfortunate there for Psycho. He didn't have any damage, so he possibly should have... Oh, Skitty has taken some damage. It's not overly affecting his car, so even if they do have to do a slow limp around just to get a time, just so that at least get on the board. So if a lot of drivers don't set a time, as long as you've been around and set that time, you could see yourself on pole should you be the only driver to actually get a time on there. Oh, wall contact there again by Skitty. Definitely going to be having trouble driving that car now. Yes, bringing that into the pits. Aussie Chopper doing the same, so missing out on setting a qualifying lap for those guys. Tenchi's still first ahead of all the others at the moment, so he'll be the first to set a lap in. Won't get to see him get a third lap in, so they're really only getting just one golden lap to try and get themselves some points for qualifying. It's Angry Oldfield at the moment, tucking in on the oh, Matteo feeling some pressure, maybe moving over to allow Angry around. Doesn't want to risk putting the car off. Oh, Angry trying to... That was just phenomenal that he pulled that car up in time, just skipping the car across the curb in front of Matteo. Matteo hitting the brakes and just narrowly avoiding contact. Both cars looking like they got away with it. Straight three. But Angry definitely setting some fast pace at the moment. Taking a risk there to try and get around Matteo. This is where the drivers really need to weigh up the risk of wrecking that car. Losing that opportunity to get a lap time set. Aussie and Chopper and Psycho still sitting in the pits. Probably not going to head out. If they had been quick enough, they might have been able to get out and just squeeze in a lap. Possibly get to finish that one timed lap. It's 5 minutes remaining of qualifying. So Mersey Blue has now caught back up to Matteo. No one's exceeded track limits yet. Done well. Matteo almost could have had it. It was lucky when he did run off on the track there, trying to sort of make room for Angry. It was on a straight, so if it had been near a corner, it would have penalised him definitely for that. Looking like he's got some damage to the front right of that Ford. Try and have a look as he makes a pass here. Not sure if it's just the shadings on the render or not. Jump back over. Oh, Angry has gone off there. Race feed hasn't said that he's invalidated time, so it's safely to say that this lap is still eligible for him. The Skiddy's received a grid place, so he did speed in the pits. So if he doesn't set a time, he'll see himself pushed right to the back. Angry looking to make a move. He does not want to risk an accident or cutting corners here. Matteo letting him slip through. Oh, running wide there. We don't want that to cost him as a cutting corner. Doesn't look like it has. Perhaps the game on this track is a bit more forgiving than others. It is very noticeable throughout the tracks on Project Cars too that a lot of tracks are very forgiving. where others are very, very intricate with track limits. So Angry really pushing the Corvette. So opting for that little bit of extra risk to set a decent time here. So Angry's focus here, terrible change of camera there. Zoom straight into a sign. Angry's focus here is to ensure that he gets a stronger qualifying position than Tenchi. So Skitty, Curver and Psycho in pits. So we had Aussie in there as well. He's decided to head out and get a little bit more practice. He's not going to get a lap in. Definitely not a qualifying time. Back to Angry. Trying to bring up timings at the moment. So Tenchi sitting in 8:37. Angry old fella coming up to the final on pit straight. So straight through here. No hesitation there. Coming on to the section. Aussie set doesn't beat Tenchi, so 5 seconds difference there. Matteo completing a lap, so he sits himself in third position. Just pushed back. Mersey Blue takes third position with an 8:59. It's very, very close. So Mersey Blue obviously using that little bit of a strip at the end on that straight. So we've just had Sama 7782 join the lobby. So he hasn't raced in this series yet, so drivers were trying to get a few of their other fellow driving friends to come and join us just to fill some grid places for the final race. So Matteo Mersey still getting a little bit of practice out there, 10 seconds remaining. If Aussie decides to stay out on the track, he'll have about 600 seconds to complete a lap. Unfortunately, this is his pit lap, so it won't count for a time. So only 4 drivers setting times, so it'll be random order for the others. So it'll be very beneficial for Aussie to at least stay out there until the clock comes down. So it'll at least see him take 5th position for qualifying. With Skitty not sitting a time, he gets pushed back currently to possibly 7th. And thanks for joining us, Finnerbro. Hello. Be sure to cheer on your favourite drivers. There's lots of controls underneath the stream there. Oh, an Aussie chopper cutting that corner there. Not penalised. Does he take damage? He'll want to definitely keep that car out there so he gets an opportunity to be able to take 5th position in qualifying here. Yes, we have lots of audio controls for you to be able to cheer on your favourite driver throughout the race. Or some other various sound effects to suit what's going on with the race. Be sure to hit that follow button and keep up to date with all our broadcasts for our racing series. So with this session completing, drivers will have a 5-minute break, so we'll be temporarily away for 5 minutes. So yes, it is eSports. So it's the end of the current series for the GTE, so it's a 24-hour simulated race over a 90-minute endurance race. So if you want to get involved in any of our eSports, Finnerbro, you can head to our Facebook group, So it's Apex eSports League. You can join in and compete. We have currently a V8 Supercars series running, as well as also about to start an RSO1 trophy as well. And that starts next Tuesday. That race won't be broadcast, as I'll actually be competing in that series, but our V8 Supercars is broadcast. So Tenchi 202 and Angry Old Fella taking first and second in qualifying, and that is the current order they are in the championship standings at the moment. So Hammer 7782 at the moment having issues trying to join the session. Not too bad of a line there by Aussie. Good stuff, mate. We'll be glad to see you on track. But be sure to hit the follow button and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, so all our past broadcasts get saved there, as Twitch does remove them after a couple of weeks. But we always stream live to Twitch. Now, the current contenders for winning this series at the moment, so this being the final round, Tenchi leading with 184 points, Angry Old Fella second place with 170 points, and Aussie Chopper with 146 points in at third. So Matteo Tommaso is in fourth. He qualifies in fourth position, so he's sitting on 106 points. So it's the big points for tonight. They do get qualifying points as well as points for fastest lap set as well. So Mersey Blue qualifies in at third position. It's a good start on the grid, but he is currently sitting 11th on the championship, so we won't see him being able to take a podium likely. Aussie with 300 seconds remaining. He definitely will get this lap in, but it is his pit out lap, so it's not going to put a time on the board for him. But for actually completing a lap and not heading into the pits, as opposed to Psycho, Skiddy and Curver, we should see him jump up into 5th position for qualifying. Hearing that 4GT topping out at the moment. We saw him last time at that section about 280, and that was in practice. The Aussie Chopper opted to head back into the pits after running off track. He didn't take any damage, so it was a very strange decision for him to bring that car back to the pits and then head back out again. So the section is about to finish up. So qualifying is over. So let's see if Aussie's moved up to 5th. No, it hasn't done it. So it's randomly placed it since they didn't get a time on the board. So Tenchi 202 taking pole position with an 8:37. Not too far behind with Angry Old Fella, is tucking in by 5.5 seconds with 8:42.7, and then Mersey Blue and Matteo very tight with the times there. So hopefully a lot more luck with the drivers with the main race. So the drivers will be heading off for a 5-minute break, as they're about to go into 90 minutes non-stop racing. So they've just done a good half hour or more of driving at the moment. So they'll be making their own pit stops, and and we'll be back with you shortly. So I'm currently experiencing issues controlling the stream remotely, so I'll be going silent for a second, then heading to our session starting shortly screen, and then the drivers will be heading off for a 5-minute break. So I'll be back with you very shortly. Okay, so we're back for the broadcast. The drivers are just in the race ready room at the moment. So we've got a couple of minutes to make final adjustments to the car before getting ready. It's a thinner bro. No, you don't need a steering wheel or pedals. You can drive with controller. A couple of drivers in our series do still use controller. So we use assists for the series as well. So it's all the same for the realistic counterpart of the car. So if the car has driving aids, you'll have those options to be able to use for the car. If you're quite good with driving on project cars too with control, you're more than welcome to join in and race. And no age restriction. Okay, so all drivers have hit ready. Looks like we have lost a driver. The light's about to go green. Away we go. Slow start by Tenchi there, with Mersey Blue making rear contact at the start. So allowing Angry Oldfella to get ahead here at the moment. But Tenchi trying to make a pass on the outside there. Oh, several going wide there. It's a horrible first set of corners there. A bit of movement back there with Psycho and Mersey Blue and Aussie Chopper. Very narrow there along through that corner. Aussie nearly bumping Mersey Blue. The angry old fellow is starting to get away on Tenchi. So they are in the GP circuit there. Angry going out wide there. So losing a little bit of time. The 1.5 second gap now between the two. Getting close to heading out onto the Nordschleife. So the back of the pack at the moment sitting very tight, second between the four cars at the moment. Sorry, 5 cars. The 2 Corvettes followed by the Ford, followed by the Porsche. And Psycho's spun off there. No damage to the looks of it for him there. Not a very nice start for him. Just exiting the GP circuit now and out onto the Nordschleife. Losing a few positions there. Oh, off wide, already some contact there. Issue there with Matteo spinning out. Looks like he's made contact with Curver. Doesn't look like drastic damage there to the Porsche. Trying to see who he did make the contact there with. So carnage already early on in the first 2 minutes of the race. Aussie Chopper tucking in behind Mersey Blue. So Aussie Chopper will be wanting to try and get ahead of Mersey Blue here. The points that Mersey Blue may have over Aussie Chopper won't affect him in the championship standings. But for Aussie Chopper to keep that lead ahead of 4th position there, from Matei, he definitely needs to make sure he finishes stronger and tries to get those extra points. They're making an opportunity there with the mistake made by Mersey going off wide. Aussie's now taken the position for 3rd. Angry Old Fella now gaining further gap on second position to almost 4-second lead. No, Finnebro, there isn't an age restriction. You can definitely join in. Oh, running wide, making some more contact there for Aussie. Curver. Mersey Blue, sorry, also running out on there. So drivers in the break mentioning they were really struggling with the corners with no driving line. Just trying to memorise the track. Curver 974 closing in on Psycho at the moment. I think we may be seeing him make a move here. So he has a speed advantage on the straight over the Corvette. So coming up to halfway through a lap at the moment. So Skiddy 14, unfortunately, was the driver that dropped out. Oh, he's looking to make an inside move there. Very dangerous corner to try and make a move. Nearly giving Psycho a nudge there. He'll have to be cautious of lag here. As when drivers are sitting very close to each other, the latency difference between the cars with their internet connections just 100 milliseconds difference on the internet speed with the speed that these cars are doing can be that you could be basically sitting where that other car already is. So as soon as the latency catches back up, it can spell disaster and cars will bounce and hit everywhere and they won't even know that they've made contact with the car. Curve right up on that curb there. The curve is still looking to try and make a nice clean pass Psycho here. Psycho tends lately with a lot of the races to be setting fastest lap times, so he's very reluctant to try and give that position up to Curver at the moment. So less than a second between 4th, 5th and 6th at the moment. Matteo Tommaso slipping behind in the Porsche at the moment. So after that spin out, it did look like that he may have been given a nudge. Cannot see any visual damage to the car, so it may have been a mistake by Matteo, not sure. But definitely not the end of the race for him to be 30 seconds behind leader at the moment with a very long race ahead of them. So Aussie Chopper now catching up to our championship leader. Tenchi is sitting in second position, so competition here at the moment. So Aussie Chopper definitely with a strong potential here to move up from third position to possibly take second away from Angry Old Fella. Yeah, get some practice in. We have our race schedules, Finnebro, on our Facebook page. So the Ford GT here, just making them pass on Tenchi. So the Ford GT does have the speed advantage over all the other cars on this track, as there is only a few straights here and it's very wide and perfect opportunity for passing. So it was getting at least 15 kilometers an hour difference. So look at the gap he's now put on Tenchi. And Tenchi is a very fast driver, so it's big advantage to the car on this track at the moment. So we could see Aussie Chopper potentially start to catch up on Angry. Yes, the Finnerborough, our Facebook page has all our events. We also do have an app coming out very soon. Oh, Aussie getting lost on the track there, so this is the confusing part of the track. It looks like it goes every which way. But this is them making their way back onto the GP circuit. So this section will be familiar to a lot of the drivers, as these drivers were racing this track in the GT3 World Series. So can he recover in time before Tenchi will... Oh, Tenchi has head into the pits. So he's now dropped down to 6th position. Curver also in the pits. So Matteo and Psycho move on up positions now. So Mersey Blue in 3rd. Aussie Chopper closing in on Angry. The time gap from 20 seconds is now down to 18 seconds. The Mersey Blue now straight up the rear of Psychogency again. Curver and Tenchi now back out. Not sure what their choice was to pit, so perhaps they didn't have their setup set correctly. Needed to make an adjustment. Not sure if they'd had any contact made, so if they've made any front damage to the car, the lights would be out. So once they get to the 9th stint of the race, they will be struggling. So Tenchi's lights now are on. They may have made repairs. So over to Aussie Chopo, so making massive moves on the field. So Tenchi 202, our championship leader, is actually in quite a bad position. So a minute 23 behind the leader at the moment. The Angry getting away very quickly. But Aussie Chopper being a very strong contender to try and chase down Angry. So I think we'll definitely see him chase him down over the course of the race, as Angry's driving the Corvette and at a speed disadvantage. So Angry is a very strong driver in all of our series. No worries, Finnerbro. Thanks for joining, and be sure to hit that follow button, and then you'll be able to keep in and watch our next race on Thursday. Same time this Thursday night. And you'll be able to watch the replay on on YouTube. So head over to there and subscribe to our channel as well. We'll jump on board with Angarini's roaring Corvette. So Angry, a very seasoned racer on sim racing. He races in a variety of things and races most nights of the week in several different leagues. So does very well in the series that he does, yet he's always very friendly to help out all the other drivers and sharing setups. So he's a great member that we have in Apex eSports League, and then the other groups he would be a part of as well, I'm sure. So he has started to put a bit of a... G'day Galen, how are you, mate? Angry reaching a top speed of 250 there along the straight there. Angry definitely getting ahead there, so I'm not getting any sector times, so I'm not getting a proper race feed. Tenchi's received a 10-second time penalty as well, so I assume that would have been when he just did make a pit after the first lap. Not sure what happened there, so Curver and Tenchi both head into the pits straight after that first lap. Earlier on we saw battling between 3rd to 6th position. Yeah, shot you the invite, Galen. So it would have been nice to see you aboard. Gotta listen to what the missus says. Decision's final. Some damage done there to Aussie's car at the moment, so a light is out. Psycho also sporting damage, so he's smashed side window and bonnet damage. Aussie opting to allow Psycho through. So that's why we've now seen a 30-second lead by Angry. Something happened with Aussie Chopper then, also struggling. So Mersey Blue now passing Aussie as well. So 3/4 of the way through a lap, so a bit of a limp for the cars to get back to the pits. So a change in the track tonight. So it was Nurburgring Nordschleife, but Project Cars 2 doesn't have a pit set up on the track for the Nordschleife track. So we've now actually had to convert it to the GP combined. So it includes the pit area that's in the Nurburgring GP circuit. Otherwise, any of the drivers incurring damage would not have any way of actually getting in, getting fuel, getting repairs, and they couldn't do a practice or qualifying session. So it would have made it for a very interesting race with no pits. So drivers only practicing the Nordschleife version. Yeah, it'd be good to see. I saw in the group chat some nice times being set to Long Beach Gallon. So it'll be a very interesting race on Thursday, especially if another full grid, 16 cars in the V8 supercars on Long Beach Street Circuit will be a very interesting race to watch. There'll be plenty of action, and welcome back, Finnebro. Hopefully your internet connection lasts a bit longer so you can stick with us for the stream. But don't worry, if you do drop out, head over to YouTube and it'll be uploaded after this stream is concluded. Psycho going off wide there. Looks like he may be looking for the pit entry in the 5-minute break after qualifying. The question was, where the heck is the pits? So Psycho now finding the pits, not incurring a penalty. Tenchi has taken a 10-second penalty for speeding in pits. As him and Curver ended up straight into there. So Curver now catching up, so having an opportunity to get past Psycho here. Aussie Chopper definitely needing to make pit. Hopefully he's familiar with where the pits are. Yes, finding pit entry there, so that Ford GT missing that rear wing will lose his, and he looks like he's crab walking down there, so some significant suspension damage to the front of that car there. Possibly be a lengthy bit of time in the pits there for poor Aussie. He did climb up into second position there, passing Tenchi. There's some invisible pit crew there with some very stealthy camouflage uniforms, as we usually see on a lot of the broadcasts. So Mersey Blue now in second position, 50 seconds behind Angry, so a very long lead at the moment. But with 84 turns in this track, over a 90-minute period of racing, it's going to be quite a race yet to see, and it could be anyone taking this race. The Aussie losing his speed advantage by losing that tail wing, so he has at least a 15km/h advantage on the straights over the other cars. We'll head over and see how Mateo's doing. So he spun out quite early in the race in the first few corners, entering the Nordschleife section of the track, so we're not sure if he took contact and was nudged off there. And then I'll have to be checking that for the steward results in the replay. Yeah, 1:15 is a very tidy time for Long Beach. The current time, so lap 3 on the ring, fastest lap being set by Angry, our race leader, with an 8:33. So that's the times we're seeing in qualifying. So we did see a minute quicker in the practice, so the drivers being much more cautious in the qualifying. So only seeing 4 or 5 drivers actually set a validated time for the qualifying session. So drivers running off wide on some of the corners didn't actually make contact or cause damage or have an invalidated time set from what my race feed said, and the driver said they hadn't been given any slowdown warnings or invalidated warnings from the race director. So it's race control is very, very lenient on this track. Angry still increasing the lead at the moment. Carl's starting to space out. So Mersey Blue in second, a minute 2 behind Angry. Tenchi climbing back up, so he sunk back down to 7th position, heading into the pits after that first lap. There is some visual damage to his bonnet there, so he may have made contact. So he did suddenly just slow down and Aussie make his way through. So Curver also opting to enter the pits on that first lap. So Curver also with an advantage in the car for this track. So we'll see him potentially start to climb back up once he gets onto those straights. 38 seconds. Currently bettering on his last opening times. So Aussie Chopper back out with a freshly repaired car. So he did have that front right section of the car heavily damaged. The light was out and the car was crab walking, so performing much better. So hopefully he can try and cover some more ground over the course of the 90 minutes and get it. So 24 minutes into the race, an hour and 6 minutes to go. So drivers can opt, if they need to duck away during these endurance races, by actually going into the pits and changing to the co-driver. So AI will drive the car for a period of time, but only at a lower percentage of what a normal lap would be. So it is a disadvantage to them, but if they do have to get away, this isn't really the track suited for it. So it's when you've got 9 minutes to get around, just to be able to take back control of your car and it's driving slower, I don't think the drivers will want to be opting for that. Only one driver has actually used that in this series so far and ended up actually bailing on the races. It set in a phenomenally slow time, so the AOS setting was actually quite low. It was a feature that I only learnt after that was actually possible. So at the moment, Matteo in his Porsche catching up on Mersey Blue. So earlier Mersey Blue sitting on the tail of Matteo. In qualifying also doing the same, and then just making a nice passing move on that last straight, crossing the line and just scraping in front of Matteo and using that slip coming onto pit straight to sneak through and sneak up a position on the grid for the qualifying. No, racing line is off. So it's very confusing in the first corner as they enter the actual GP circuit section. So since it's the combined track, we'll jump over and bring up the map. So over to Angry. So coming up to here, it looks like the car, you got to continue as another turn right here, but you cut straight through and it links up to the last corner of the GP circuit that we did in the GT3s for this track. And then coming up to these first corners, you actually run off the track. So this section here, it looks like you are meant to turn right. You actually run off the track left, round the kitty litter, into the tyre walls, and then left back onto the second half of the GP circuit. So it misses that big fast second bend around where that hairpin is. So quite chaotic in the practice, as all of the drivers had actually been practicing the Nordschleife during the week and then trying to actually set up the session today, realising that Project Cars 2 doesn't include the pit for Nordschleife, so we had to actually change the track. So very tricky on them. So it was quite chaotic in the first start of the race there, all drivers going every which way. We did see a bit of a lead change at the start. So it was requested if we had a dropout at the start of this race and had to do a rolling start, which would be a very painful rolling start. Then we'd do a delayed starting line for them, so we wouldn't want them doing a 10-minute warm-up lap to gain positions. Yeah, but they did ask to put the driving line on afterwards, because I was going to do it, but last race they said don't do it. So they're definitely finding it tricky, so very cautious driving. So over to Matteo here, also finding it tricky in that corner there, especially after the last 80 turns of the race to come into that section and to have to remember the confusing section of the track. I think we may see Matteo possibly make a move on Mersey Blue. So Mersey Blue's taking it cautiously at the moment. Tenchi making his way back up, now sitting in 4th position. So we'll jump on with Matteo. See how just cautious he is, actually taking it in his Porsche at the moment. Matteo actually have a huge advantage in the Porsche on this section here. do believe, I think it may have been the Porsche Cayman series that we actually did do this track. I think it was. So the only disadvantage is the car setup required for the Porsche to be able to handle the very angled ripple strips and the bumps and thumps of Nordschleife. Not very suited for the nice, smooth, fast corners that you have around the actual GP circuit section. So now seeing Matteo definitely gain on Mersey and his GT here. So coming up to the straight, so Psycho receiving a penalty there for 2 seconds. Definitely wouldn't be from the pits. A bit of airborne there from Matteo in the Porsche. Hearing that throttle blip as he goes over that blind crest. So right on the tail here of Mersey Blue here. Looks like he's allowing Matteo through. So Tenchi also now closing in. So is Mersey Blue taking it cautiously at the moment? Or has he suffered some damage that's slowing him down? Matteo will be feeling very happy at the moment, sitting in second position. So Tenchi definitely looking to try and make a pass here. He's currently winning the championship, so he needs to climb back up the ladder here, flashing the lights. Bit of impatience, or just letting him know that he wants to try and make a pass here. So the drivers all in on a party chat at the moment, so they can talk to each other. I don't think Mersey has mic though, so I don't know if Tenchi does either. So Tenchi leading the championship only by 14 points over Angry Oldfellas. Big points. Still giving a flash there. Matteo going wide round there, almost allowing an opportunity for Mersey Blue to get sneak past him on that inside. Could be disastrous here for the drivers if they try and make a pass at a bad section of track. So they're coming up to the hairpins here, so they're going to have to definitely try and get a nice line through there. If they definitely not an opportunity to pass there. The cars sides do grind along the curbs and on the cement. These drivers still starting to close in on Angry, so Angry may be sitting a little too comfortable at the front there, so not as much pressure on him to try and push that car. Side by side here through, fast corner. Tenchi just sneaking in front of Mersey. The Mersey slowing up Tenchi that little bit there, and Matteo manages to creep ahead of the two. I'm sure we'll see Tenchi catch up on that Porsche quite quickly here. So into the hairpin, bad line there for Tenchi. It did bump him out off the concrete there, up back onto the tarmac. Curver also not too far behind, so it looks like he is slowly slipping behind from these three cars at the moment. Mersey Blue not showing any damage, but Tenchi showing a bit of a buckled bonnet. He has been into... Oh, contact made from Mersey Blue into the wall there. Looks like some significant panel damage to the side of that car there. Doesn't look like Aero's taken a hit to the front. Maybe some steering difficulties there, possibly some suspension damage done to the car. Tenchi now right on the tail, putting the pressure on Matteo. Will Matteo move over and allow him through? He doesn't want to make a mistake and the cars make contact and the race go badly for both of them. It's a very long way when it's 9 minutes a lap to try and limp that car back into the pits to then spend several minutes getting it fixed. So Angry now into the pits, timing all skewed up, not getting any realistic time data here at the moment. It's Matteo not looking to want to be able to let Tenchi through yet. Tenchi feeling quite happy with his position in second. Onto the straight here, so the Porsche's at a disadvantage, so Tenchi got good line through there. He could make a late pass. Maybe some aero damage to that Corvette. So we are seeing Tenchi with a bit of a buckled bonnet. I don't know if that's residual visual damage from when he did head into the pits earlier, as it doesn't always refresh the car. So he's making a move inside there on the fast corner. Matteo giving up that position on that corner. Tenchi very fast into these corners here, so he's going to have to be heavy on the brake, pick a different driving line to be able to compensate for that corner. So Angry currently on lap 5, so he's pitted now, so Tenchi now only 30 seconds behind the race leader. So yellow flag at the moment given to over halfway through the race, over for Aussie. So yellow flag's gone. I'm not actually getting a proper race feed, but Aussie's gone off. Has he suffered some damage? Yes, he has, and further damage there, spinning out. So he's lost that front bar, and there's also left wing is also bent. So disappointing there for Aussie. Mersey Blue and Curver also into the pits, so Curver's second pit stop for the race. Yeah, so Aussie definitely struggling with that car at the moment. So we'll see him definitely head back into the pits to get that GT fixed back up, but he's got a good stretch of track yet to go. Still struggling with that car. So Psycho in the Corvette at the moment. He's also been in the pits. It looks like he's got some damage as well. I can't see a wing on the car. And he's lost that front end, buckled, and lost the wing. Into the pits again for Psycho, remembering where it is and not turning into that tyre wall like before. No penalty for him entering the pits there. Matteo sitting in third at the moment, so still sitting strongly for Matteo. So Matteo doing strongly in the series as well, so in the championship standings after the third round was seeing him sit in fourth position with 106 points, so finishing strongly in this race, and he was only one of the 4 drivers to set an actual qualifying time in qualifying, so scoring some good points for the qualifying there as well. So we'll jump over to Angry, so we have not seen much of him, so our race leader is currently leading by 31.5 seconds to the race. And drivers starting to space out now. So Angry needing to stay focused in the race, as once you do tend to actually get ahead of the pack and you don't have any cars to reference your pace to, you can start to relax a bit and your lap times will start to actually drop off. So Angry doing well, so he did have almost a minute 50 lead over the pack originally, so getting away very quickly at the start of the race as Tenchi didn't get off to a good start and had a bump by Mersey Blue as well, so he looked like he delayed start or a stall at the start of the race. So Angry got ahead, but Tenchi did recover quite quickly and gain him on the first corner with an inside pass, but did lose it with the chaos of that confusing first section of the track. So Tenchi slipping a little bit behind now, so it was a 30-second gap, now it's back to 32. We'll jump on board with Angry in his vet. So on the straights, we did see the Corvette reach to about 270, so this stretch we saw them creep to about 250 before having to start trail braking over into these corners here. So lots of bounce. Yeah, so 250. So we're seeing a difference in the Ford GT to about 265 through that section. And then they were getting up to 280 on the big long straight before they head into pit straight. So the Corvette was only seeing about 265, 270. A little bit offline there by Angry. They can't go too low on that section as it is actually a raised curb. It's not a slope. It is an actual proper rectangled gutter, so you can see just how steep the ripple strips are on this track. The drivers were discussing quite in detail about bump and rebound for the setup for the cars, as suspension for this track is very crucial in the setup of the car, as tiniest hits on those ripple strips will shoot the car across the other side of the track, but then you don't want to have it too soft so that you bottom the car out on all the bumps of the actual tarmac as well. Yeah, in the stream as well, if you look at the panels down below, you can actually do cheers and take over some audio over the stream. I can't hear it, but I can see that you've picked them. Yeah, the Chev. It's been the weapon of choice. It's Angry, down 56 seconds, but his last lap was the pit stop, and that is the minute that he lost over the lead. And we're now seeing Tenchi closing that gap in. Oh, Angry got off wide there, nearly making contact with the wall. It did sound like he made contact with that barrier. Did hear a metal hit out wide on the tarmac there. You can get down nice and low through there if you stay on that checkered bit of concrete. You don't want to go too low as it starts getting into a lattice type of concrete, and it is heavily weathered and washed out. So we'll see how quick you can get down this straight here. So at this stage we'd already seen the Ford GT hitting 280. So topping out, redlining there, 274, 275. Ooh, 276, 277, 280, doing well there, pushing that Corvette to its full limits before having to get on those brakes. Using a lot of engine braking through those corners there by Angry. Now onto pit straight. The currently fastest lap set by Angry, so it's an 8:33.822. Can't see what lap it was as I'm not getting a race feed. Angry almost losing there and hitting that tyre wall on that confusing bit of the track. Yeah, it definitely nearly was another oof moment there too, with Angry making contact with that wall. So Tenchi's slipping back again, so he's varying his time of about 3 seconds there, so we'll see. Now Tenchi's doing so he goes through this section, so he's navigated that quite well there. The sunset approaching very fast. So we're halfway through the race, 45 minutes remaining. So we're coming on probably 8:30, 9 o'clock simulated time at night now. So last lap set by Tenchi in 8:35. His best lap's an 8:34, so consistent there. Not too far off Angry with an 8:33, so last lap set was Angry Old Fella for 9:30, so a minute difference there. So that was his pit stop though, so very consistent lap times between the two here. So it will be very tough for Tenchi to get in and try and gain on Angry here. Just depends on how focused he is with the night stint of the race. Ooh, going off and spun out there by Tenchi. This will cost him trying to catch up to Angry. He's got 20 seconds difference there. No damage taken to his car. Very lucky for Tenchi. That has nearly cost him 10 seconds on the gaining that he was doing to Angry. 20-second safety net there to third position with Mateo into fourth. But Mateo doing very well, still sitting there in third position. Not much pressure there for Mateo. We'll have a look and see what laps. So currently Curver on lap 5, just head into the pits, so we've got a bit of a time issue showing on the leaderboard to the side there. Ooh, issue there, contact to the front for Tenchi. Hasn't damaged lights. Hopefully no suspension damage there. Definite heavy aero damage to that front bar. Very lucky not to have damaged the lights as heading into this night stint. And with just the length of time it takes to complete a lap, of probably from just about 9 minutes, and heading into a much slower period now with dropping temperatures on the track. If he had lost his headlights here, he would have been in for some trouble trying to get that car around and back into the pits. Potentially he's going to have to decide now whether he decides to get that car into the pits. He does not want Mateo to be able to actually get past him here. He wants to be able to finish ahead of Mateo. Although there's a good chance that Mateo could actually move up quite strongly on the championship ladder. It's about 78 points difference between the two, and it's big points for the finale of the series. So with Angry only 14 points behind Tenchi, Tenchi definitely needs to want to be able to try and catch up on Angry. But at this rate, if Angry continues through how he's going, he could be taking home the championship. So Psycho at the moment in the pits. With his pit crew in their lovely stealth uniforms. Definitely a time infringement for speeding in pits there by Psycho. No worries, Gallant. Thanks for joining in for the stream. And we'll catch you on Thursday for the V8s. Nice and dark there. Psycho not getting lost. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. It's Matteo driving in the dark. Let's jump on board with Matteo. Visibility is still respectable at the moment. So the screen I am looking at is contrast is set quite high, so I can see quite well, but looking over at my second TV for the broadcast being sent out, it's rather dark. So I'm not sure on the stream if you are seeing it as being rather dark. I suppose it'll also depend on your settings as well. Oh, going off wide there. They're opting the near on the lights, so definitely helpful to see his way around Nordschleife with some lights for sure. So he's possibly looking to see if he had a light button set. So for realism, you can custom set the buttons to your for speed limiters in the pits and for lights and wipers. But if you do not actually have a configuration set, it does automatically turn on for you. So it is an advantage, so you can avoid copying those grid penalties and also time penalties for speeding in the pits and having to quickly search for where your button configurations are. And if you swap between different games and have different button configurations on your wheels, it can be rather confusing. Potentially definitely slipping away there at the moment, so I can't see sector times unfortunately, but waiting for Angry to finish his lap, so he's coming very close at the moment. I believe that he should be. Yeah, so he's catching up to a back marker at the moment, so it's probably Aussie that he's catching up to. I can't see any notices of blue flags, as Project Cars 2 likes to have a glitch with race feed, not always updating. So it's still stuck from the practice session at the moment. Yes, so Angry catching up to Aussie here, so his head back out nicely repaired in his car. Getting confused here, so it's all different now in the dark, so drivers always have to try and find markers that are easy to spot, so not witches' hats or signs on the side that are usually on the ground, as they tend to get taken out by cars. So when you have 84 corners of the track, trying to remember your braking markers throughout, and then it all looks very different once you hit the dark. So over to Angry, so Aussie would be seeing on his race feed at the moment, blue flag, 4 fast cars approaching. despite actually the game giving that, in most endurance race series, official rulings are that you are not actually required to have a blue flag, as the race can change significantly over the course of a 24-hour or 12-hour race. So if you are being lapped, the cars lapping you, should they have an incident that requires them to bail out of the race or have to go to the pits for some reason, gives you an opportunity to actually try and catch up any lost laps. But Project Cars 2 does give them the flag, but no, there's no penalties given for not obeying a blue flag. And just a bit of pub ammo for racing rules, but it is different across all different series, of course, as well. Angry will want to try and pick a spot that's tidy to get through, so Aussie going a little bit wide there. So when you are being a car that is being lapped, you don't want to disadvantage yourself, as well as you're still competing against other drivers for position. So best idea is to stick to the driving line. If you let them try and get around on an outside corner, and then if there is a straight, stay on the driving line, slow off and let them pass, as a sudden jerk off the driving line could see you potentially both end catastrophically for you for the race. So Tenchi into the pits, so I'm assuming with how far the race is going, he would definitely have needed some fuel, and he did have that little bit of damage, as he did make front end contact into that wall when he spun out those couple of times. So luckily not taking any damage to the lights. A little bit lost there in that confusing section. Out onto the GP circuit there. Damage still showing on the car, but that would be residual, as once they've been in and made repairs, the game doesn't refresh the look of the car. Angry here, who's renowned for bringing a car home nice and clean with no scrapes, but we definitely did hear him earlier make wall contact, and in qualifying and practice he did struggle a few times and have some spin outs, but didn't appear to make any wall contacts. Oh, heavy wall contact there, jinxed Angry. So also done to the left side. So with the game, the cars can take a couple of hits, usually against a straight where you've made slight contact with the wall without it actually causing any damage. But usually by your third time doing that, it'll actually just give you damage to the car. So usually only taking damage to suspension if you've actually made a significant impact where you've made direct contact on an angle with the edges of the car into a wall, or if the wall is actually on a curve. So we may potentially be seeing Angry here with a tiny bit of suspension damage, possibly some aero to the front. Probably not significantly impacting his car at the moment. Matteo, minute 30 behind at the moment. My race feed isn't showing if he has ended up making a pit stop. Thanks for following us on Twitch too, Finnabro. Much appreciated. And we hope to be able to see you compete in some of our races as well. That would be great. If you do race in other things as well, will you potentially be looking at doing some GT Sport stuff? We do prefer Project Cars 2 over GT Sport, as it is very arcade-like, and we do like to try and make the Apex eSports League as very realistic to a track day as possible. So so we steward the race results. Can be quite heavy with penalties, so we encourage very clean driving of our drivers. And just over the course of the last few series, the drivers that have started and who are only new to sim racing have come out with some fantastic results. So Angry losing it there, so it was spinning out, no contact, but he did pass Aussie, so Aussie would be catching back up, so needing to get the car back on the track before he caught up. We'll jump on board inside Angry's car just so you can see what he is actually facing. So very poor visibility, and it's very poor visibility from a lot of the sections on the track. They're very weird ghost silhouette on the track there. Hopefully driver's not seeing it. So driver's definitely feeling fatigued here, so they have been driving for an hour now on a very grueling track. No driving line. Most corners looking the same, especially once it is in the dark. And we should come up to a couple of crests here that are quite quick and in the cockpit, so the view of choice and what is preferred by most sim racers is this view here, or helmet view. So it's going wide there. Angry struggling at the moment, so I think he may be dealing with a bit of suspension damage. I don't think we'll be seeing him get into the pits though. It could cost him the lead of the race. So unless he needs to head into the pits for fuel or tyres. So the good thing about this track, it's not as hard going on the tyres, so drivers could opt for a soft compound and last quite a while on that compound. There's definitely some aero damage here by Angry, as we're on board with him here before and we saw him reach 280 before he had to hit the brakes there, so seeing 260, so he's definitely got some physical damage to the car. Will we see him head into the pits here? No, out for another lap, so it's not enough to impact him. So with it, Tenchi and Matteo being his competitors, following behind him at the moment, it's not worth pitting for that aero damage. So getting a little bit lost there on that corner. Not the nicest line through, but as long as he gets through it cleanly, he's fine. So he just needs to keep that car nice and safe, get it round for these last couple of laps. So timing, so his last lap an 8:46, Matteo a 9:09, Tenchi previously doing an 8:40, so slipping back with a 9:24. So still Angry holding the fastest lap of the race, so an extra 5 points to him for the race there if he maintains that as the fastest lap of the race. So hearing what sounds like a Ford there at the moment, so possibly catching up on Mersey Blue. Well, look at the map. Not sure what we're hearing there. The new cars, it's on the map, the arrow is Angry, and the other dots is the other cars, so. So, Sunrise, not too far off. Angry going a little short there on the corner through the apex. Just needs to keep that car clean and between the white lines throughout these last few laps. As we'll see 3 laps most likely, given the position of the race leader. So once the 90 minutes is up, it's final lap, so long as Angry continues his current pace. Matteo finding a nice line through the most trickiest part of the track there. The driver's well adjusting to that section of the track now with the sudden change to the track on them at the last moment, so only realising at 10 to 7, and then I send out invites to the lobby at 7:15, so giving the news to them 15 minutes before the race starts was a bit unfortunate, but a lesson taken away, unfortunately, with project cars with that track. The tracks of the season, we did follow what gets regularly used for the 24-hour races. So started with round 1 with 24 hours of Le Mans circuit, and then the round 2 was circuit to Spa-Francorchamps GP, and then last fortnight, so round 3 was Bathurst Mount Panorama, and then finishing with quite a popular 24-hour race amongst the real-life counterparts, being the Nurburgring Nordschleife, but slightly extending that track just so that we could have the practice and qualifying sessions and not just have a random grid start, so and allowing the drivers to score those points for qualifying. The Porsche doing quite well at the moment, so 9:08, not too far off the pace of Angry in the Corvette, so respectable time, taking it easy, but Tenchi's really struggling most, but he did just pit, so his 10:32 is a pit lap, and he's taken a 10-second infringement, so that would be speeding in pits. So we'll jump back up the timings, so Curver early, on lap 1, entering the pits, incurring that 10-second penalty. Psycho getting a exceeding track limits penalty for that 2 seconds, and then 10 seconds would be for speeding in pit lane. So drivers were mentioning that they didn't get any invalidated lap times in the qualifying, but my race feed wasn't giving me anything, so it's not giving me any who's doing fastest sectors or anything like that, so bit of a disadvantage of giving some telemetry data to you guys at this point in time. So we were talking about this track actually being quite forgiving with track limits, as if you do cut the corner and run off and you don't power through and you just back off and go through, it doesn't seem to give you a slowdown penalty or a track limit penalty for that either, as you don't get the slowdown option in qualifying. So with drivers only having the opportunity to set 1 lap in that qualifying, they couldn't afford to have a lap time invalidated. Very nice sound from that Porsche. That crackle from that exhaust lighting up the area around it. So light blue skies off in the distance on the horizon there. So we're probably around the 5-6 o'clock AM at the moment in simulation time, with only 20 minutes remaining of the race. So the time progression is times 15. So it just gives just over 24 hours over a 90-minute period. That's roughly 25 hours simulated, so the race ends around the 9:30, 10 o'clock point. So they started at 9 o'clock in the morning. The drivers all very spaced out, so Tenchi is still slipping behind, so we did see him with some damage, so he's going to just have to battle that car through. He really can't afford to spend a minute in the pits, as Curver on the same lap as Tenchi will take that position from him, and then there's a 10-second penalty between the two. So if they end up catching up to each other, 10 seconds between the two, you could definitely see him drop. Oh, chaos there for Tent. She's spinning out and making some front contact. Both lights working fine, but hopefully no suspension damage done to this, so that it's not going to be any handling issues for him. We'll jump on board with Tent, who is our championship leader. So visibility will soon improve for the drivers as the sun starts to come up. Out very wide as you can see, very strong buckle on the front of that car, so the car is jumping around there on that straight. I'm not sure if that's just what I was talking about before with just the crests and the bumps, so a very blind straight there. So Tenchi taking very easy through there, so a lot of the time they're doing about 250, so it's very cold track temperatures at the moment, ambient temperature also. So coming up to the hairpins, Tenchi's going to want to take it easy, the car's acting a little bit slippery. So nice line through there by Tenchi. Angry now in the pits, Tenchi going off there. So was blind through that corner. A lot of mistakes to easily be made when near impossible for casual racers in series like these to try and memorise all the corners for here, especially when it looks all the same in these dark conditions. Angry heading in, it'd be most likely for fuel. As you can see, you can't see where that track is going, so when fatigue's setting in, trying to stay focused on these new driving lines, new braking markers, and they definitely wouldn't be remembering most of them for sure, and no driving line as an assist to the drivers. So hitting that curb there and bouncing that car across. Tenchi currently with 17 minutes remaining. I'm pretty sure he'll be knowing it's running wide there, so late with the braking there, not expecting possibly the corner he was thinking it was. Terrible camera shot there every time we go around there. Matteo making his pit now too. So pit time usually causes errors with the actual official timings there. So we'll have to rely on map. Yeah, Tenchi will definitely not catch up on Matteo in time. Tenchi's not requiring a pit yet and can last that 16 minutes. May have an opportunity to try and catch up on Matteo. So Matteo driving quite well. Matteo still in the pits. Tenchi about to make the pass. What will happen here? Matteo's going to be coming out of the pits very quickly here now. Not in time. It's unfortunate for him that his pit bay was much further back. We could have saw him coming out just in front of Tenchi, so Matteo would be needing Tenchi to have to make a mistake, have a spin out for him to be able to get past Tenchi here, or if Tenchi's requiring a pit stop. We're only going to be seeing a couple more laps here. Jump over and see where Angry's sitting. So yes, only coming up to half a lapse very shortly, so going out wide there on the grass there. Angry showing some damage, missing a wing bar there, and he's got that front bar flapping and the bonnet is buckled. So he's made contact again at some stage. Ooh, cutting the corner there. Struggling there at the moment. I don't know if he's struggling with the handling of the car, or if it's driver error. Oh no! There could be some horrible damage there to Angry that could majorly be affecting him here. Could see him go into the pits. Could be fortunate for Tenchi 202 at the moment. Tenchi will be unaware that he's made contact unless they are using crew chief apps with their driving, as the app does advise when there's been an accident or who's gone off. So if that is the case, it may be very motivating for Tenchi at the moment. Oh, locking up through that corner. Angry's going to have to use the car reset, so very lucky there. So not usually encouraged to use the car reset option. Try and keep it as sim as possible. Try and get that car back on track as if you were driving its real life counterpart. But drivers were told just to use the car reset for this track, as it's very difficult to get it up over those curbs and it can get stuck very easy, and we don't allow ghosting in our sessions. So if there's going to be a high speed impact with a car cut across a track, they will be hit, so they were definitely encouraged to use the car reset option. And she did gain some ground there. We've just seen minute 23, so he is catching up. But both sporting damage, but Angry sporting some significant damage at the moment, so they'll definitely be impacting the performance of that Corvette. We'll jump on board and just see if he is struggling with the wheel there at all on the straights to keep it going on that rail. Hard enough as it is on that track to see just if a car's alignment is straight or not, as you are battling the car quite constantly. Holding nicely through the line there. So he's got, ooh, horrible for him to make contact on that same side again. Some multiple hits, has been into the pits since. He may have done some quick repairs from a few scrapes before, but that front left has definitely taken most of the hits. So the car is not going to be resilient enough to definitely not be having some sort of performance impacting effect on the steering of the car at this stage for Angry. So Tenchi now closing in. So Angry's got to bring this car in with only 11 minutes left. He's almost 3/4 of the way through this lap on lap 9 of the race. Sun coming up. Beautiful colours in the sky out there as the sunrise is coming. Come back to Angry in a moment as he hits the straight. That's having at the back of the pack here. The Psycho having some. There's our bad camera angle again. We always happen to pick a car that goes past that one spot. They're sporting some damage. It could be residual damage. The car seems to be performing okay. It's not really moving about there. So Aussie Chopper looking alright. Doing very strong at the start of the race. Unfortunately having some incidents there that saw him come past some beautiful sunrise back there as Aussie Chopper comes over that crest in his Ford GT. Mersey Blue looking clean there in the Corvette at the moment, so recovering from falling back in the race there. Tenchi doing well, also climbing back up from pit early and his few incidents as well, so quickly catching up on Angry. So COVID doing quite well at the moment, so we'll head over to Angry on board. So he's on the straight, see how fast he's going. So he managed to top 280 when the car's in peak performance, 225 now. So he's definitely struggling to keep that car straight. So you can see the shudder in the steering wheel there. So with the force feedback with the drivers on their wheels, I think we're going to have to see Angry possibly bring this car in. Yep, he's bringing it in. Almost looked like he's contemplating not bringing the car in. So not speeding through pits. Pit limit is done. So timings are now messed up all over the place when a car goes in the pits. So definitely now going to be a bit of work done here. Let's see what he opts for. Change of tyres. No. No fuel. Yeah, it's just solely repairs. Unfortunate there for a good old fella. So Tenchi. Yeah, so Angry only doing 220 along the straight there. So Tenchi also sporting some damage, so we should be seeing him reach 270 along here. Definitely some damage there. This Angry's finished with the repairs. Just getting out ahead, so now 35 seconds ahead on Tenchi. A mistake here by Angry could see Tenchi get ahead of him. However, Angry does have an advantage now, heading into better conditions on the track. It'll be the last lap. So, probably see them do an 850, I estimate. So, this is definitely last lap, so 7 minutes remaining of the race. Lap 10 being the last lap. So I was estimating around 10 laps with it being the Nurburgring combined. Expecting to possibly see 7 laps at first with lap times, but they did set some quite tidy laps. Oh, spinning out. Safe space for him to do so, only going into the kitty litter there. Tightening that back up. Did hit a witch's hat. He's probably taken a little bit of aero damage. It won't be visual. It won't be enough to hinder him in any way at the moment with speed difference over Tenchi, as Tenchi is sporting some significant aero damage there. I'm pretty sure it's not residual either, so we did see him spin out, make some contact, and he hasn't been into the pits, so... Still an opportunity if Angry is fatigued and struggling at the moment. So if Tenchi's focused, he could take it, so it's possible here that Angry could take the lead in the championship. As he's only tailing in the standings by 14 points. It looks like they're Curvis behind Mateo on the same lap there, so race feed here is incorrect. It's saying Mateo is tailing by 58 seconds and Curver is tailing by 57 seconds from the leader, so it's incorrect timings for the two cars here. Curver looking to make a move, so the last lap Curver wanting to take, cutting corners. We just saw in the distance a few corners ago Curver running the inside of a corner there, possibly may have been given a slow down, slip back, but he's right on the tail of Mateo. Neither driver here wanting to end up in an incident that's going to cost them the position. If they will be safe, as Mersey Blue is quite far back behind them. It's given me 10 minutes, but I don't believe that is correct. Yes, it's now just changed to 3 minutes. Oh, terrible there for Curve. As he was catching up, spinning out, taking some damage, braking that front left light there. Car looks to be pulling to the right there, so he may have taken suspension damage to that front left wheel. So if Mateo saw that in his mirror, he's probably made a sigh of relief. The curve is still closing in on him. Mateo not wanting to feel pressure and getting in a bad position that could see him end up in the wall with an accident with Curver. Curver swerving side to side, making it known he's wanting to make a move. Oh, almost a nice pass there. It was a bad line. Oh, going off there. Not a nice pass. Mateo almost moving off a little bit wide to try and allow for Curver. As if he was on that bad line and spun out in front of him, it could have been very disastrous for both of them. Curve is struggling with that car at the moment. So 2 minutes remaining of the race, so it's about 9 o'clock game time at the moment. So it looks like Angry Old Fella is coming up to the last of the hairpins before the final straight. Oh, gone off. Managed to bring control under that car there. Off into the dirt there. Sliding that car out. The ripple strip saved him. It could have bounced him across into the dirt again and then into the wall. Luck was on his side that that section of track just happened to bring that car back into line. So that car definitely looks like it keeps wanting to pull to the left. There's some terrible crackling there, so definitely some limited speed there for the Ford GT, so he's got the advantage over the Porsche there. Definitely struggling with that car at the moment. Matteo may be in for a chance to gain that position back for third. Matteo just needs to focus and just keep that car on the right line. Maybe put some pressure on Curver and then try and force a mistake by Curver. Potentially still only 32 seconds behind the race leader. Curver still making some mistakes there. Really fighting that forward at the moment. Hopefully Matteo doesn't push too hard, he might just be able to get past. A mistake could easily happen to Curver at the moment with the handling of this car. We'll head over and check what the rest of the field's doing. 10 seconds remaining, this flag will be waving last lap. See where our race leader is. Just past Psycho. Psycho's just been given the blue flag. We don't want him given black flag, but definitely white flag now being given to the drivers. Last lap. So, Angry, definitely our race winner. Could it be enough to be able to take the points from Tenchi and take the championship? So race complete. Well done to Angry Oldfella taking the win. The Psycho maybe not just getting another lap in. He would have just crossed behind. So AI now taking over. So head over to Tenchi, currently in second position. The difference in points for the qualifying and fastest lap being set by Angry Oldfella could be enough to take the lead of the championship on the final round from Tenchi. Tenchi starting to approach the final straight. So a sense of relief to the drivers as they approach the last corner, seeing that last straight open up, finish line approaching. They can sit back and relax. And there's Tenchi, finished in second place. Well done to Tenchi for a wonderful race there also. So Curver, not far behind, so also being on the same lap, so caught back up quite well, so great driving there. Matteo just finishing there in fourth, let's have a look. No, so Curver finishing in third positions. The 10-second penalty just moved him back, so Matteo's reclaimed third position. So Matteo on the podium by a time penalty given to Curver. Well done to Matteo for keeping that car nice and clean and not getting in a bingle with Curver, and just sitting close enough behind to be able to reclaim that third position that he lost to Curver by way of a penalty. Excellent race by Matteo, so spinning out quite early in the race. And then, as I mentioned, with this track over a 90-minute race, it's anyone's race for any position of the race. So it's Mersey Blue should definitely get to finish his lap in. So Aussie also on his last lap. Psycho's finished, so Mersey Blue and Aussie. I don't think we'll get to see Aussie Chopper finish his lap. He's only about halfway through, so the feed will finish before that goes. So we'll definitely get to see Mersey Blue cross the finish line. With the potential for cars to get rather spaced in the race, there's quite the potential for a small grid not to see too many battles, so we got to see quite a fair bit, which was quite interesting, especially towards the end, so catching up very quickly. So a driver dropping out at the moment looks, trying to figure out who just dropped out. They just dropped out, they lose race points. Psycho, it was Psycho that's dropped out. Hopefully he's just returned to race central, so as he had finished the race. So Mersey Blue crossing the line. Cheer from the crowd as he's now finished. Well done to Mersey, some great driving from him, good recovery from early on in the race. Over to Aussie Chopper, not too far to go. Yes, the Psycho's now left the session, so he does tend to have to sometimes duck off and do some things, so he'll still get his points position, so he was at the back of the field, so well done to Psycho as well for the race. And Aussie Chopper, unfortunate after climbing to second position and then dropping back to now sixth position. So we can't see Psychos anymore, so I'm not sure how many laps down Psycho was in comparison. So I don't think we'll get to see. Oh, it's sad for Aussie Chopper at the moment. Needs to get that car home, keep it going for the next 260 seconds. Joining us on the stream, be sure to give a cheer for Aussie. Some brilliant driving by Aussie and some unfortunate incident that forced him to drop back to the back of the pack. He's sitting third on the championship standings, so a fortunate result for the race. And this is not setting a time for qualifying either, so we'll possibly be seeing Matteo Tommaso. He did set a qualifying time and also finishing third in the final race. We'll see him most likely pass Aussie Chopper, as there's only 40 points difference between the two on the championship ladder. So definitely a change. That's AI driving, so we aren't witnessing drivers there. They're just waiting for the countdown to finish so they can head off into the lobby. So it looks like we will see Aussie Chopper get to finish his lap. That'll be great. He's on lap 10, so we'll see him have caught up. Quite slow along there, so he may have been spotting some damage, but he's in no rush. He just needs to get the car home. Here comes last corners. Cheer from the crowd as Aussie approaches the finish line. we have it, race done, win to Angry Old Fella, possibly taking the win for the championship. We won't know until check all the scores and stewardship following the race, as we check for any penalties, so it's not guaranteed, but most likely Angry Old Fella has taken the championship here from Tenchi. Very close race between Matteo and Curva, with Curva dropping back to 4th position, so missing out on his position on the podium right at the end from that time penalty. So Matteo climbing back up to the podium, so Tenchi taking 2nd, Curva in 4th, Mosey Blue in 5th, Aussie Chopper in 6th. We did lose Skiddy at the start of the race, so we missed him, and Psycho just had to leave, so I do believe he was finishing in 7th. So well done to all drivers. We can see the pit stops there, so Angry and Curva with the most pits. So Angry doing quite well to still take the win with 3 pit stops. So fastest lap going to Angry Old Fella with an 8:33. So well done to Angry for taking the win. Also with the fastest lap. So next broadcasted race that we have is actually the V8 Supercar Series at Long Beach Street Circuit, and that's on Thursday night. So 2 nights away. Broadcast starts at 7:30. Drivers will be ready to go at that time, so be sure to follow us on Twitch, head over to YouTube, subscribe there as well, so you can see any of our past broadcasts. We save everything over there. Head to our Facebook page, Apex eSports League. Join the group, get in on some racing with us as well. We'd appreciate seeing some more drivers get into some series. So there's the RSO1 Trophy Series for Tuesday night. So unfortunately won't be broadcast, it will be driven. I'll be competing in it, so a break from broadcasting on Tuesdays for me. But Apex V8 Supercar Series is definitely there, so be sure to head over and check that out. Some great stuff there. Lots of action, lots of contact between cars and walls. A very hectic technical street circuit, so it's going to be great. So thanks for tuning in. We're out, and we'll see you at the next race.